I was a lover of Disney fairy tale films when I was younger, and of fairy tales in general. But one film that for me slipped under the radar was Tangled. While everyone still quotes The Lion King and sings the songs from Frozen, this 2010 movie seemed, at least to me, to be largely ignored by the masses. Originally conceived as a more traditional 2D animated movie, Tangled, or the story of Rapunzel, seemed like a natural fit for a studio known at this point for its princess movies. Most of its better known films and bigger movies of the Renaissance were part of this trend. It is well known that these original stories were much darker than the Disney versions. Cinderella's stepsisters getting their eyes picked out, to Ariel's legs causing her immense pain with every step. The story of Rapunzel is no exception. The original tale is part of a broader tradition of folk stories found across various cultures and countries, often referred to as maidens in towers. In these stories, women or girls are confined, usually in towers or another secluded place, for reasons ranging from the desire to protect their purity to punishment, or because they are perceived as a threat. Although Rapunzel is associated with the Brothers Grimm in German folklore, the origins of the tale can be traced back to medieval Persia and the story of Rudaby from the 11th century. She, Rudaby, is the Princess of Kabul and is known for her extraordinary beauty, of which her most striking feature is her long, thick, dark hair. She falls in love with a warrior called Zal. One night in a scene I'm sure will sound familiar to all, Zal visits Rudaby. To help him reach the tower where she lives, Rudaby lets down her hair so he can climb up. While this story shares some elements with the version of Rapunzel we know today, there are some notable differences. Rudaby is not a prisoner, and she and Zal eventually have a child together. Interestingly, while not in the Disney version, earlier versions of Rapunzel also include a pregnancy. As happens with folk stories and fairy tales, the story of Rudaby was adapted and altered over the centuries as it traveled to different countries. In the 17th century, an Italian story called Petrosinata, meaning little parsley, was published. In this story, a husband steals parsley for his pregnant wife from a witch's garden. He is caught and, to avoid immediate punishment, agrees to give up his child to be. On taking the child, the witch locks her up inside the tower. This is very much the story the Grimms adapted and published in 1812, but added more to it, becoming darker and more cautionary with Christian overtones. In it, Rapunzel isn't just locked up to protect her, but as a punishment. The tale now follows the familiar direction of the prince finding her tower and the two falling in love. However, here the relationship becomes more intimate, and Rapunzel falls pregnant. Her captor, on learning of her state, casts her out, and Rapunzel is forced to give birth to twins in isolation. Her prince is blinded by the witch and roams the forest for years until finally being reunited with his lover and her children. And then we move 200 years into the future, and the film Tangled, maybe one of Disney's last great movies. But Disney originally had the idea of turning the story into a film all the way back in the 1940s. It wouldn't be until the 90s and the middle of the Renaissance that the gears would finally start moving, and with various rewrites and changing directors, Tangled would be released in 2010. When this film came out, it completely slipped my attention. Maybe unsurprisingly, as a single, childless man in my 20s, I was not exactly the target audience, but I finally saw it for the first time last year. The film builds on the original story by giving Rapunzel, played here by Mandy Moore, more personality and likability. She's a sweetie, and yes, I fell in love with her adorable personality while watching it. I'm sorry, she was cute. We at the time were in the early stages of pop feminism online and the beginning of bad faith criticism of the Disney princesses. The film seems to know this, and while slightly averting some of the cliches and tropes, it is also fully a Disney princess movie. It does, though, attempt to appeal more to men and boys, in a similar way that Aladdin did, with Flynn Rider, our prince, given a proper backstory and development as a character. There is a lot of criticism as of late of 3D animation, and while I personally do prefer 2D, the animation here and design of the film is excellent. It gets across their personalities, their chemistry, and while also having fun and allowing some of the more goofier parts to play out. And then we have the music. It might not be as memorable as some of the classics, but I See the Light and the scene in the boat is mesmerizing. and maybe, just maybe, as good and as spellbinding as the magic carpet ride in Aladdin. I said maybe. Not only does this scene enhance the romance, but it also serves as a key moment of character growth. Overall, Tangled successfully balanced adventure, romance, and comedy, and is worthy to be considered one of Disney's great films. Maybe even better than Frozen, but I'll let you argue about that below. Disney, as of late, is a studio people love to hate, and many would argue has lost its way. But it's been around for over 100 years and has produced some amazing classics. It may have lost its way, but hopefully in time we'll find it again. And Tangled shows us what it can do when it does it right. Just please God, no live action remakes, I'm begging you. Thank you for watching, and as a reward for making it this far, here are 5 bonus facts about the film Tangled. 4,500 lanterns were created and animated for the iconic I See the Light boat scene. It took 6 years to create and perfect the technology used to animate Rapunzel's hair. At the time, and still today, it is the most expensive animated film ever made, costing $260 million. Initial pitches for the film had it set in modern-day San Francisco and the fairy tale world, in a similar vein to Enchanted. To better capture Flynn's handsomeness, Disney held hot man meetings in which groups of women described what they find attractive.
How you doing? The name's Flynn Rider.
Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I'd appreciate if you give the video a like, and I'll see you next time.